Quinn's Afternoon Army on 95.7 The Hog.
Paul Wight, how have you been?
I'm good, bro. I'm good, man. I'm good. Just, out there spreading the good gospel of AEW.
All right, so before we even get into your story, I got to let people know, you weren't even supposed to be my guest today. Somehow, I go from you not even being part of the program to literally the biggest guest I have ever welcomed. For over 20 years, the world called him Big Show, the world's largest athlete, AEW, Paul Wight. Welcome to Quinn's Afternoon Army. I appreciate you making time.
Hey, I appreciate you having me on the show. This is fantastic to be a part of Quinn's Army. Thank you.
Like I said, world's largest athlete, AEW Dynamite later tonight, 8 o'clock. And, of course, the all-new AEW Rampage Friday night at 10. Paul, long before AEW, WWE, or even WCW, what can you tell me about the car salesman, Tall Paul?
Oh, you dirty devil. You got me, man. You got me. That's when I worked at Rusty Eck Ford in Wichita, Kansas from 1992 to 93. I had a pretty rough year in 92. I lost my grandfather, my father, my coach had gotten fired from Wichita State who had recruited me. So for a young man at that time, I got kind of lost, and I was trying to find out what I wanted to do in life, which is never a good place for a young person to be.
Sure.
So I got in a job. I went and applied just like a real adult. I went in, talked to used car manager by the name of Randy Matchett. They used to call him Hatchet Matchett at Rusty Eck Ford in Wichita, Kansas. And I watched 2 hours of Jackie Cooper tapes on how to sell a car, like VHS tapes in a boardroom. And I started selling cars. I remember I sold 17 or 18 cars my first month, but I was so new, I didn't even know how to fill out the paperwork. And some of the older guys there were kind of mad because they had to do all my paperwork for me. But I was out there selling cars because I was so tall. You used to call a customer on the lot, you would call them an up.
Right.
So the salesman that made the first introduction with that customer, that was considered their customer. But I was so tall, I could see customers on the back lot, the side lot. So, I had a little bit of advantage with the other salesmen for making that introduction to customers. I used to tell them, hey, I'm Tall Paul. If you want, I'll pick the car up so you can look underneath of it and make sure everything's okay. So that was my sales pitch, and I didn't know anything about the car business back then. And I remember in July, I had an incredible month. I had a nice apartment. I had bought a nice couch. I was like, wow, this adulting thing's pretty easy. This is cool. And then in December, I owed the lunch truck $12 because people don't buy cars in December back then, and you have to have repeat customers to try to talk them into coming in.
Right.
So I didn't have any repeat customers because I was new. So when I owed the lunch truck $12, I figured it was time for me to find something else to do.
Now, is the story of toothpaste sandwiches, was that a real thing?
That was a real thing. That was actually right around the same time of that month of it being a really bad month, December and that January. I didn't have anything in the fridge time. I had one slice of the heel of the bread, and I didn't have any condiment. And I was waiting. I was actually supposed to work that night at a club in Wichita called the Cowboy. I was supposed to bounce that night, and I got paid every night after I bounced. So I didn't have anything in the fridge that day. I had one slice of heel bread. I didn't have ketchup, mayo. I had nothing in the fridge, nothing. And I remember I had some AIM toothpaste, and I just figured, it's mint. I like mint, so it's fine. And I remember I put it on the bread, and it was horrible garbage. But I ruined a piece of bread is what I did. But it was a humbling thing to go through. And I can honestly say it's one of those things that now that I'm not embarrassed about it, it's a good reminder to remember what you've gone through in life and where you are in life, and to be appreciative and thankful for the blessings that you have.
Absolutely. Paul Wight, AEW. Now, how does Tall Paul go from being on the car lot to being introduced as the son of Andre the Giant? I know you made your debut on TV against a legend like Hulk Hogan. They put the title on you your first night. What's going through your head before you go through the curtain, before you start the match, and then immediately after the bell rings when the match is over?
Well, before the match, if you would have put a piece of coal up my butt, I'd have made you a diamond. I mean, I was stressed out of my mind. I was this young kid that just had really no idea where I was or what I was doing or what I was about to, or how my life would change. I just knew that I was brought in to be an opponent for Hulk Hogan. I did have a contract with WCW at the time. If I'd have done well, I would have gotten to continue. If it would have been terrible, they probably would have let me go. So, and looking back now to see that Hulk took that chance on me because I was so young and so green and so strong, like he could have got hurt working with me. But, he was so cool and so chill. He made it an easy experience. I remember one time in the match I got lost in the corner. I didn't have any corner offense. I mean, Hogan's in the corner, and I didn't have any corner. I didn't have a chop. I didn't have a knee. That wasn't in my repertoire yet because I was that green. And I remember him grabbing my hand and started choking himself with my hand. He goes, "No, brother, don't choke me." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I can do that." And then after that night, he tells me, I did a good job. Everything worked out like it's supposed to. Now, tomorrow when you go through the airport in Detroit, I want you to wear the title so everyone knows that there's a new champion and you beat Hulk Hogan.
No.
And I went, "Oh, okay." To me, that sounds like a good idea. I'm green.
Right.
So I'm walking through the airport in Detroit, and I've got the WCW World Heavyweight Championship title on, and I'm wearing it through the airport. And guys like Rick Steiner and Scotty Steiner all give me thumbs up. Luger's giving me a thumbs up. Hey, champ. And I'm feeling so proud. I'm proud as a peacock with all this going on. And I go through security. I take the belt off. It goes through the X-ray. I'm putting the title back on after I go through X-ray, and Sting comes over, blonde-haired Sting with the razor shades. He goes, "What are you doing?" I said, well, Hulk told me to wear the title so everyone knew he was new champion. He says, "You look like an idiot. Put it in your bag." I went, "Oh, they were playing a joke on me."
Your first rib, kid.
I miss that naive Paul Wight sometimes, but there you go.
Well, after you make your way from WCW to WWE, is it true, though, that you tried getting a contract with them before, and the late Pat Patterson, one of Vince McMahon's right-hand guys, never even watched your tape because he thought you were someone else?
True story. I'd actually given that tape. I had made a tape before I got to WCW or either. I had made a tape in a wrestling ring. The only thing I knew how to do was basically I just wanted to show athleticism. So I was running, hitting the ropes. And back then, I could hit the ropes in one step. Like I would fly across the ring and 1 foot in the middle, turn, fly, and hit the ropes, turn, fly, and hit the ropes, which it just showed athleticism. So that was all I had to present. And so I gave the tape to Mike Chioda, who gave it to Pat Patterson. And then Pat Patterson got it confused because at the time I had a lumberjack gimmick. This is how green I was. I thought without copyright laws or infringements, I thought I could go and wrestle as Paul Bunyan and I could sell styrofoam axes and I could have a hot chick in a blue dress and call her babe. Like I had this whole complete copyright infringement ripoff, but that's how green I was. I didn't know about that. So I had pictures of me in like a flannel shirt, like a lumberjack. I think Jimmy Hart still has those pictures somewhere, but I begged him to never put those online. I have to send them like a yearly payment.
They're going to show up at his store.
Yeah, right. And so that whole lumberjack gimmick and doing all that stuff was the Paul Bunyan thing. So I forget where I was going when he said that.
Well, I had mentioned that they thought you were someone else.
Too many chair shots.
Yeah, you can joke about that. No big deal. We were talking about the fact that WWE actually had passed on you because they thought you were someone else, right?
Concussions are real in my day, bro. We got hit with real chairs.
Yeah.
No,
not a gimmick.
Pat thought it was the Kurgan because the Kurgan was doing a Canadian lumberjack thing. So he just didn't pursue it any further or hired the wrong guy and hired the Kurgan. And then when Chioda comes in, when I was wrestling Hulk Hogan, that match was on and Vince and Pat Patterson were watching in Vince's office. And Mike Chioda says, "Oh, that guy didn't work out." And Vince goes, "What guy?" That guy, that's the guy I gave the tape to. That's that Paul Wight guy. And Vince, I guess at the time, had lost his stuff that Pat had lost the tape for having me. Because at the time, I was a pretty rare find to find someone that tall, young, and athletic that could talk and all that stuff. So it That was a long time ago. I tell people all the time, that's back when I had long hair and a bright future.
AEW Paul Wight. Now, of course, your time in WWE opened a lot of doors for you, spending over 20 years with any company. It takes a lot of commitment on both sides. I think the first time I really saw your comedic timing, though, 2000, when The Rock hosted Saturday Night Live. What was going through your head when you were there?
Oh, man, that was so cool. That's one of those moments in time that while it's happening, you can't believe you're doing it. And then to look back, you can't think, wow, that's amazing. Because I never would have thought I'd be a part of Saturday Night Live. I grew up watching Saturday Night Live.
Sure.
And then Rock was gracious enough to let us on the show and be a part of that and to have the fun I had with Chris Kattan and the singing and, you know, meeting Will Ferrell and everybody there at Saturday Night Live was so cool to us, and be a part of that was one of those kind of moments in time where you go back. My life's pretty amazing, and it's pretty grateful I got to be a part of that.
Well, in the past year, you made your choice to end the relationship with WWE, make a major career change, lending your star power to AEW. What led you to make this big change late in your career?
Look, just opportunity and wanting to change. I mean, I've done everything I could do, I think, in WWE, and I think they were going a different direction than I wanted to go. I wanted to still compete, and I still thought I had a lot to offer to the talent, and I didn't see an opportunity for me in WWE to go forward. I mean, the writing was different. There were just a lot of things going on that were different. And speaking with Tony Khan after my contract ended, because I didn't know if I was going to wrestle again or not. I mean, I consolidated everything, made sure I had I had zero overhead, you know, because I didn't know if I was going to ever work in the wrestling business again. So I'd already prepared to find something else, whether it was fishing or whatever I was going to do for a career after that, you know. And talking with Tony, I really liked the way his attitude was on things. I really liked the chance to be a part of something and growing something and building a product and building AEW, working with younger talent, the ability to still compete in the ring, and also to start doing color commentating, which is something that I always wanted to do and thought, hey, you know, I might be pretty good at this. And then to get the opportunity to do it and then build that relationship with the AEW audience so that I can start competing as well. So far, I'm just a dude that's been at the right place at the right time, I guess. So I don't know if it's skill or luck, but I'm pretty grateful.
Before I let you go, thing you said right there, skill or luck. AEW Dynamite, 8 p.m. tonight, TNT, legendary Paul Wight. Good enough to spend part of your afternoon. I appreciate that. But the skill or luck, I've often said everyone geeks on something. Take me inside your buddy Joe Manganiello's infamous Dungeons & Dragons games. Who would we see around the table?
Who would we see around the table? Man, it's a who's who of characters. You're going to have Dan Weiss, Game of Thrones TV show, one of the creators of the Game of Thrones show. You're going to have Vince Vaughn, who is probably one of the smartest individuals I've ever met in my life. Like, Vince Vaughn is funny, but you don't realize how friggin' smart this guy is in real life. I mean, like, his memory is unreal, because there's a lot of lore in Dungeons & Dragons and a lot of – it's almost like you have to be a lawyer to understand different spell components and characters and how they work in situations. And it amazed me how brilliant Vince Vaughn was. You're going to have Tom Morello, who is one of the greatest guitar players of all time, from Rage Against the Machine and The Watchmen. I mean, Tom Morello is another one who actually went to Harvard, so it doesn't surprise you that he's as intelligent. But to see, you know, there's this incredible rock star who's also an incredible gamer. I'm there, Joe's there. You know, I'm playing some games now with Patton Oswalt and Dan Hernandez, who created Detective Pikachu. It's really cool to see guys from all different. I mean, they're kind of the same walk of life because they're writers and they're actors and they're in the Hollywood end of it. But then you've got rock and roll guys, and then you've got, you know, me, the wrestler, and to see all of us put all that, because we're all successful in our own right, but in the end, we're still a squad of adventurers who are going out there and fighting in the Dungeons and Dragons world, and it's an incredible escape for the mind. I love it every chance we get to play, and have been fortunate enough to make some incredible friends, that lifelong friends now just through D&D. So Thanks for bringing that. It's always fun to talk about D&D, but I'll talk about that forever, so you got to be careful.
Well, I was going to say, I just want to wrap up, man. Everyone geeks on something. I have geeked on pro wrestling since I was watching The Great Kabuki on TBS at 6:05. I mean, we're going way back, and ever since then, man,
Yes, the
thank
Kabuki.
you. Oh, come on, Green Mist. First look at that. Gary Hart, hooked as a kid. Scared me to death. Absolutely.
Dude, I got the rest of the Great Kabuki.
No.
I got the rest of. I'm sorry, I was thinking of Muda. I got the rest of Muda, but that was the Mist with Muda. But
yeah,
still, Kabuki was the man. Kabuki was scary.
Yeah.
When we were kids, Kabuki was scary. Yeah,
buddy,
yeah,
I could spend
agreed.
all afternoon talking to you because I geek on pro wrestling. But thank you for spending time. You are welcome back in the Afternoon Army anytime.
Thank you very much for having me, Quinn. You're the man, the myth. Thank you, bro.
Quinn's Afternoon Army. The only draft we care about comes in a pint. 95.7 The Hog.